there is no workshop, it's all in one meeting.
Well, we've got a tree, that's an official thing we have to do.
Yeah, just keep going.
All right. So, staff report.
All right, thank you, Chair. I do want to recognize our new Commissioner, Commissioner Meyer.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you very much, Max. I appreciate the welcome.
I also want to introduce Erin Carey, who is our Public Information Officer, our new staff member.
We need the roll call, actually.
Oh, yes, roll call. All right, so I'll start on this side. Commissioner Meyer. Here. Commissioner Gauthier.
Here.
Commissioner Blair.
Here.
Commissioner Bellows.
Here.
Commissioner Petrie.
Here.
Commissioner Mitchell.
Here.
Chair Banner.
Here.
So Bill Weed, 13208 Southwest Bedford Street, submitted this tree removal permit for his street tree. It's another one of those maples over in the South Oaks neighborhood. It's next door
Sidewalk.
to Linda, I believe her name was, the previous tree permit that we received across the street from a couple other street trees that were removed, so.
To approve?
Ronnie did not
I
give
did.
the minutes.
Yeah, there's
I
3.
did 3 minutes, there's just one that was messed up, that wasn't approved correctly. Or, published correctly.
So should we pause?
You didn't give me, my cheat sheet today, so. We have minutes from,
Give me a second to pull up the agenda for you all.
It was May 28th.
Gary, someone stole that fence. The
how
whole
come
fence.
we haven't approved minutes in that long? Ron?
Pretty long now.
So
Okay,
I sat there for half an hour, because I drilled them into the ground.
You are amazing, by the way. That's not your job. That you
Well, they stole it.
Huh?
It's stolen. It's gone.
What?
The fence that I installed.
Oh, yeah, I went and
Someone took the whole thing out.
The whole fence?
Yeah, the posts.
Okay, I was looking for a
How
fence
could
back
they-
there, and I was like, I didn't see anything, so was this little sign down
Why
the
would-
tree, was that it?
why would somebody do that?
I don't know.
I thought it was also great. That's why.
Sign?
It's really cool.
Madam
Yeah.
Chair, Madam Chair, we have March 18th, April, and then May, April, and then March.
Does anybody have any corrections, or can we do them all in one motion?
The only one that I asked you guys not to approve is March 28th because it wasn't published correctly.
March
So-
12th?
Or, no, this one.
Okay.
This one.
Okay,
So it's not showing the minutes.
does anybody have,
May 28th.
Yeah, May 28th. Did I say March?
Yeah.
March 12th, May 28th.
okay, if nobody has any changes, I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes. And of course, Commissioner Meyer wasn't here, so you.
Motion to approve the minutes from April 23rd and March 12th.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye, or raise your hand. Okay, they're approved. All right.
Okay, so.
This is the same
Same
situation.
neighborhood, it's the
Yeah.
same issues. The sidewalk doesn't quite have the same amount of lift
Yeah,
as the previous one yet. One cause for concern is the amount of roots that are growing around a water meter hub and the control valve. There's a very large root that's snaking through it, so. And then I received a recommendation letter that was added to that amended staff report that I sent out from the homeowner's landscaper. Just basically identifying that the roots are a cause for concern and that there's some lift in the sidewalk. So based upon that, my recommendation is to approve the tree removal permit, with conditions that they replace the tree from the tree list by the, end of March 2026.
Are they expected to replace it with, in the same bowl?
Generally what's been going on, yes.
Okay, good.
I do have some questions, Max. The first is I looked at the tree list. And so are they able to select from I noticed in, part 2 of the replacement standards, it talks about the same stature or greater, at maturity. So are they able to select from, there's 36 trees in the small stature group, which I'm assuming this sunset maple is small stature?
Yeah, it's about, I think that's about the maturity level right there in that picture.
22 in the medium stature, and there's 64 in the large stature. So are they able to select from those over 120 trees or so? Any of those trees?
Well, it would have, go ahead.
No, I can answer that now.
I mean, I pretty much would trust that whatever arborist they choose to take the tree out would recommend that it would be an appropriate tree from.
So an appropriate tree in terms of conformity or uniformity?
In terms of being able to fit within the planter strip
Huh.
and having roots that grow down so that they wouldn't want to cause the same issues.
So there's gonna be some restrictions on size of the curb area, because you look at that standard, you know, solely at that standard, if there are no other, other qualifications for what constitutes an adequate tree for that area. You know, there's things like, a coast redwood, you know, would be amongst that group. So it would seem like there would be some sort of standard that would, further define as far as uniformity along the block or that sort of. Otherwise, right, the way it's worded, they could pick from any of those trees. So then you're relying on our arborist then, in all of those cases, to make the selection. Because if a homeowner did not, I don't think they're required to hire an arborist, right? I mean, they could do it on their own.
Mm-hmm.
So they could go and say, well, I'm gonna put a white oak there, right?
Right.
In that area. And that wouldn't be, an adequate tree for that area.
Why not?
Because of the size of the tree,
Okay.
because of the span of the tree. I mean, picture an oak tree along the street of Edgewater.
That's,
It doesn't.
Commissioner Meyer,
Yeah.
if that's your concern, I would suggest we add a condition that it would have to be someone from the small tree list, show the tree, whatever the
And
definition.
that's what we're getting at, is trying to
Yeah.
establish what would be the criteria in a situation like this.
Well, we had this discussion with the prior folks as to what kind of tree they were going to put back in.
What folks are you talking about?
The previous tree removal, we've had these hearings. This is third or the fourth. that we've
Okay,
had.
so did you cover this specific?
Yes, we did.
Okay, so I have to rely on, I can't ask any questions now because, there is prior information that I'm not aware of. So you want me to be quiet then and not ask any other questions,
No,
or?
Commissioner Meyer, I'm just telling you that that is the standard that we have established.
In the application, he did say that he wanted to replace the tree with the trees that were replaced across the street.
Okay.
So there would be uniformity with that, and that is something we can check, but I don't know exactly.
And- and best practices, dictate that you should not put, multiple trees. I grew up in Chicago after the elm disease killed almost every single one of them. So best practices is that you do not, repeat a species over and over and over, because it's too easy to lose all of them at the same time. We're having a problem, with ash trees now, and there's a lot of trees now that are, a lot of streets that are, lined with ash trees. And, if the ash borer comes, they'll all go down.
So if there is a tree like that, it should be removed from the, tree list. You know, if I identify a tree.
Well, yeah, but, you know, who knows?
Right?
Yeah.
And so you're relying on this list for, you know, it should be reviewed every now and again to make sure a tree like that that's not susceptible to the disease is removed from it. And I'm sure that.
Mhm.
We're very, very blessed that Commissioner Bellows is a landscape architect. And so we rely on her judgment to a large degree to help us.
So,
Thank you.
my next question.
May I intercede? I think Commissioner Meyer raises a good point, in that it seems like his concern is that from that tree list, they can choose anything regardless of what best practices are. So if we don't have something in our standard that that specifically states what has been expressed by other commissioners, then it leaves it wide open, unless we have a condition in our requirements.
And I can tell you from experience that, one, I agree with Commissioner Meyer that there can definitely be some refinements to the tree list. Two, and Ronnie and I get this all the time, is that our tree removal code is kind of just dated in general. Our tree removal permits need to be updated. So this is definitely something that
One
we'll
of
have
the
to take a
things
look
that's
at.
on our long list, things to,
Yeah, in the vein that Commissioner Bellows mentioned, I am currently talking to the landscaper in Edgewater because about a year ago, they submitted an application for removal of 7 ash trees along 131st, and that application was denied by the city manager. So I mean, it's a proactive approach to try to get rid of the ash trees before the emerald ash borer comes in town, which it will.
I just have two more things. And that would be, it obviously, the Sunset Maple was on approved list at some point when Edgewater was built, right? So I would imagine that the city had some sort of approval of the Sunset Maple, or maybe they didn't have a tree code back then.
Yeah, I believe they used Washington County's approved tree list, which is more, not quite urban. So one of the reasons why we adopted that tree list last year was because we wanted to use our own. Most of those trees are from Tigard's tree list, which Chair Boehner worked on when she was over at Tiger. Pretty well acclaimed, so kind of more or less trusted that Tiger had a good tree list.
The question would be, is a Sunset Maple pretty prevalent through Edgewater? Is that a fairly common tree for a street tree?
I can't say for sure.
Yes, it is.
Okay, and
I mean, it's a favorite.
if it is, I think that the city should alert the homeowners somehow, either through the HOA or through the city, to let those know that have those trees in front of their homes. But obviously, there's a problem with the people now across the street, right? They're experiencing the same thing.
This isn't in Edgewater though, this is in Castle Oaks South.
Oh, Castle Oaks, okay, I thought it was Edgewater.
Smaller subsidy.
To identify the fact that this tree is a problem, for them to watch for signs of, buckling or the water mains and whatnot.
Yeah, unfortunately, they don't have a unified homeowners association. So, I mean, it would be nice to just kind of do this in a large group, but they don't have like a single organization to benefit for.
The last thing would be, there's no fault of their own, right? The tree being planted and they inherited this problem as a result of a decision that was made by the city. I would recommend at a minimum that the tree permit fee be waived in these cases. Just something to consider.
Thank you. That's a good one. And in a lot of cases, we waive the tree permit, especially if it's a hazard.
I have some experience with
Yeah.
arborist and replacement and landscaper and any repairs to the sidewalk and
and I'll just put a thing in, when I bought a house in Bradley Woods, they had planted English plane trees. And every one of them had to be pulled, including mine, because they attack the water lines and the sewer lines. So I want to make sure that tree is not on the approved list, even though that area is not in the city yet. Someday, it probably will be, but we need to be prepared for that.
There was a conversation last year with myself and Mr. Dave Runyon, Public Works, about potentially getting a city arborist on retainer for cases like this, and to just go out and create an inventory of our street trees and what trees are at the park and things like that. So that would be helpful in this case, and in cases of when we want to go check what trees people are using to replace, things of that
Yeah.
nature, so.
And my business, we spend a lot of time figuring out where the roots are gonna go. And, most developers don't. I noticed when I looked, last time, that there really isn't very much space for those trees to grow. And, I'm laughing at one time, I worked on a project that had, coast redwoods, and they had practically grown together into a fence, because they grow really fast.
Okay.
Question. Just out of curiosity, what is the tree permit fee?
For a street tree, it's $100. Next question.
Is there anybody,
No,
There's
we're
nobody
getting
here.
close to our time for-
yes, we need to move along on this. All right,
I move, have we moved yet? That we approve the street tree removal application.
Second?
and do you want to add the condition to put in a tree?
I believe that's a condition to the, already in there, isn't it?
We'll move to approve with conditions that they replace
Okay, I move to approve with conditions that they replace the tree.
by
It's
March.
an eight. I would say by April. March is a good planting month.
Well, but yeah, by the end of March.
Yes.
And who seconded?
Yes.
Okay. Any further discussion?
I'd like to discuss the, option of adding the, ability to waive the fee. That'd be, something separate.
Separate motion. Separate motion.
So for this application, has the fee been,
Yeah, he's already paid the fee. You can refund the fee.
I think we should give, if you're interested, I think we should give staff the discretion issue, since they're the ones who are dealing with the,
Can we also make it where staff take care of the hazardous issues, so we don't need to have these meetings for clearly?
that's a code issue,
Okay, can we make it so we amend the code?
eventually.
Okay.
Yes.
The thing is, well, it's fortunate in this case because it's so prevalent. But generally, the planning commission is the one that deals with the street trees because the planning commission is the one that approved the street trees at the point in time. So
so I
that's
mean,
why the staff
can we give
goes,
staff the discretion regarding refunding?
yeah, we already have that discretion.
We already have that discussion, all right. That, you call the roll, please?
Sure. Commissioner Meyer? Commissioner Gauthier?
Yes.
Commissioner Blair? Yes. Commissioner Bellows?
Yes.
Commissioner Petrie?
Yes.
Commissioner Mitchell?
Yes.
Chair Mayor?
Here.
Unanimous approval with conditions, that they replace the tree by the end of March 2026.
Okay, all right, so we're moving from the public hearing to the workshop section of our meeting. And I hope that everyone has read the materials that Max sent to us. For Commissioner Meyer's benefit, we are looking at a lot of possible code changes related to specifically our area of jurisdiction. And one of the things that was being asked was about park space, because the plan, the master plan, does not delineate specifically related to pocket parks. And that's one of the things that we wanted to talk about, because some of our subdivisions, need to have some sort of park feature that isn't specifically delineated in the master plan. Okay, all right. Go.
Well, where would you like me to start?
Well, what would you like, what do you think's the most efficient use of our time, because we have to cut the meeting at 11:30 sharp.
Bellows, did you?
Oh, I was gonna say, talk about what you learned from Metro.
Yeah, well, so this is from DLCD.
Oh, okay.
And they provided us with a great resource, kind of giving examples in the metro area and also been a few other places about what other cities use for requiring parks But the city, I mean, we're in a kind of a unique situation because we have this master plan community and we don't have a parks master plan. And so I'm trying to determine how redundant it would be to have a parks master plan when the Kingston Terrace master plan does delineate large parks, but does not delineate pocket parks or require pocket parks. Kind of going back to what I mentioned before, the pocket parks, at least in the sphere of planners that I've talked to, seem to have, it's a bit of a mixed bag of reviews. Some people like them, some people think they're a waste of space. It does break up the monotony of neighborhoods, but it's kind of hard to implement, and so it didn't seem like the LCD would have had an issue with the city requiring a certain amount of land to be donated as pocket parks per development, but again, we need to really take a look at if that's going to be necessary or not. In this spreadsheet that I prepared, you can see that, you know, in the 528 acres of the Kingston Terrace area, 208 of them are floodplain, vegetated corridor, open space, otherwise undevelopable for housing. And then an estimated size for parks that have been allocated are 43 acres to 92 acres. So it's more than a fifth of the entire area has been already designated as parks, which is quite significant in my mind. So look and see if this is going to be necessary. One thing that I reached out to the community development director over at Happy Valley after I received this information packet and asked him about kind of what the city over there's method for doing what's called fee in lieu of. So if you require parks in neighborhoods, or say someone wants to build a park on a location where the park is delineated in the master plan, if they don't want to put the resources towards building the park, they can do what's called a fee in lieu, where they pay the city the estimated cost of what the park would be, of what their responsibilities for that park would be, on top of the park's SDC. So what that does is it provides the city with a little bit of flexibility as to what's going to go into the park, where exactly the park's going to go. Maybe the developer wants to build a house there, but we can still move it a little bit and allocate funds towards acquisition or what have you.
So if there's a park on a tract of land that they want to build on, that park stays there, right?
Unless the city opts to move it.
Okay, but pretty much.
We can move it within a quarter mile.
Okay, got it, okay. And these circles.
On this map, the smaller circles are where the
Wow. Oh, okay.
But that's up to the discretion of the city.
Because a lot of cities have, like quarter mile walks to a park.
Right.
So if you move one too far, you could have a half a mile. And that's kind of what I'm thinking about.
And based upon this map, it looks as if all the parks, except for the one in the far southwest, are within a quarter.
Yeah, right, Right.
So any of the parks can be moved a quarter mile, just not the smaller circles, right?
Mm-hmm.
Any park in the center.
Any of these parks can be moved a quarter mile.
Okay.
And so, I'm still working with, I had some follow-up questions for him yesterday that he hasn't gotten back to me on, because I want to know if we were trying to implement a fee in lieu system, what needs to happen? Is that embedded in our code? Is that like an SDC methodology addendum? How do we actually implement something like that? I made this map yesterday to give you a better geographic idea of where these parks are, in relation to where Kingston Terrace is kind of laid out. So, you kind of get an idea. One is on Lloyd Meyer's property, which is in the dead center right there, about a 5-acre lot. One is on Mike Meyer's property. There's one over on Myrtle. And I can't remember the name of the other folks, but then the one in the bottom left, that's the Harrell property, the Harrell Daily properties, and I've spoken with Cliff Harrell on numerous occasions, and he seems to be the most ready to sell to a potential developer that would then put in a park. The bottom left.
Southwest corner one,
Yeah.
community park.
Mm-hmm.
So a parks planner would look at these and say, well, this is a good, we need this kind of park, this and this kinds of parks.
That would be something that would be established if you were to do a full-on parks master plan.
Okay.
Yes, what are the needs of the community? Because then you look at it holistically,
Right.
and you'd also look at what River Terrace 2.0 is going to be putting in, because they're gonna have their own system of parks that are gonna be pretty close. You know, what King City Community Park already offers, which is the Kingston Terrace Master Plan has one chapter devoted to parks, but a parks master plan, which may or may not be necessary for a city of our size, would go into much greater detail of the needs of the community.
Sort of unusual to have a master plan that has 220 acres of developable land, 220, right?
320 is developable land.
320 of developable land. And then require, over 100 acres, just over 100 acres for parks. As I think you mentioned before, it's like 1/5, right? Seems to be a little bit bigger than that, but.
Well, it's 1/5 of the whole.
Whole thing, okay. So compared to other cities, does that seem like an exorbitant amount, or is that about average?
I can't say for sure.
Considering the other 200 acres of open space.
Mm-hmm.
Because we have 200 acres of open space and then 100 acres of park plan.
Right.
That's 300 acres in 528 total. It just seems like an awfully big chunk, especially when I think you're considering part of that 208, some of that as parks, or just completely protected from anything?
So, yes, some of that will be in parks, because some of the parks, those community parks, are gonna be located partially in the floodplain. So, and also that 100-acre figure that was like the least conservative estimate of the size of parks, and so that can be to this 43 acres, depending on desire.
And it's really very important. I'm from Chicago, where we have parks. And when you have the amount of density that we are putting in, you need an outlet. You need some place to go. And there's been, now it's become very mainstream, but it used to just kind of be in the research groups, that nature helps your health, it helps your brain, it's good for people. And most people, I mean, I don't have a park. My park is miles away. When I was, when I had kids, I had to drive them there. So it's really important for kids to have wild places, for adults to have places to go and think. It's not a luxury by any means.
Here's my concern as we start doing annexations and parcels start being developed, is that there's fewer and fewer options as we move forward. I think it's really important that we establish a really good firm plan and start identifying through contact with property owners. We've already done with Carlson, and with Lloyd Meyer and others, to make sure that you got a kind of a firm plan and you have property owners on board.
Mm-hmm.
That sale. Now, during the Kensington Square process, he made a comment, and I wanted to check this with you. He said that when the city goes to acquire land or a developer goes to acquire land for purposes of a park, that there's no hit to that owner in terms of cost per acre of developable land versus the cost per acre for a land that would be designated as park. Can you comment on that at all? Because
I'm not knowledgeable enough about that, no.
You brought that up because that's going to be a concern.
Yeah.
For Lloyd Meyer, or say Carla Bankston, or others that have larger parcels. that have a, duty to, family members that might be in a trust or whatnot, to make sure that they don't allocate, park property and take a financial hit for heirs and for people in the trust. So I think that's an important thing to identify when you approach these people, that they're looking at, well, I can make X number of dollars developing my land, and I'm afraid if you come to me for a park purpose, talking to property owners.
I think some considerations were put into that when they located community parks, because both of those are
In floodplain.
in areas that are not buildable. But obviously the other areas are perfectly suitable for, and that was also a concern that, Merrill brought to our attention. Approached by developers houses, they had to explain to him that topography and the flood prohibits that, but yeah, that's definitely a good point.
So when you bring up the fact that these community parks are located in floodplains or steep slope areas, wildlife habitat and whatnot, what's the compatibility when you look at the definition of a community park? What does the city want from their parks, right? A community park, according to, the legend and the master plan, talks about ball fields, tennis courts, restaurant facilities, parking lots, and all those things. You can't necessarily build all those things, on a wetland, right? So I think it's important for, the planning commission and the city and the council to identify what is it we want from our parks, right? What are the amenities that we want? Do we want a baseball field? Do we want a tennis court? And are these properties that we're identifying, can we put a restaurant facility in there? What's going to be the impact to the environment and to the wetlands and to the nature and whatnot? Because if you're earmarking these parks for natural area, right, that corridor, then I think you need to think long and hard about that, as long as it doesn't impact the city's goals of, housing needs and whatnot. And I think you ran some numbers on that here the other day. We were emailing back and forth as far as what if you took those park acres and you took that out of developable land. It was pretty tight, right, in terms of meeting the density requirements. And I think there can be a balance, maybe approach to that. So anyway, I think it's something.
Mr. Meyer, in the interest of the public meeting rules, it would only be appropriate for you to bring these things up in a meeting and make sure that those emails get to us in a public context, and the public knows about this, and that's, so I would ask that you try to minimize those kinds of emails, because you are now subject to the public notice issues.
Okay, I guess I'll have to review that, because I think
Communications with staff.
communications.
Yeah, it's, because you're,
Staff is okay.
yeah, but we don't know what's going on,
Right, and you're not supposed to.
and it's, it's,
So that has nothing to do with serial forum when I'm contacting staff. If I were talking to
okay.
serial forum issue.
I know what that is.
Okay, well,
I just want to make sure that if you're talking to staff, you need to make sure that staff alerts us to
I don't
what
think, that doesn't seem to be a problem, though. Is that a problem, Marnie?
So if you are directing me to contact the city council, or I'm sorry, the planning commission, yes, it is a problem, because you cannot direct me
No,
to do it for OGEC, but
but
I
the
can,
problem is,
we can
we're
share.
hearing about stuff that you had a private discussion, and we don't know, we don't have contact.
Right,
You're-
but in Mr. Meyer's defense, he is bringing that up in a public open meeting currently.
And this is actually a work session, is it not?
It's an open meeting. so,
It's open
yeah.
meeting, okay.
Yeah,
So I just want to make sure that,
yeah.
Well, I can't copy you on my email.
no, I know,
Yeah.
but staff should be prepared to discuss this immediately when we have a workshop like this, because you are privy to a lot of information that the rest of us aren't.
Well, so based upon my conversation with Commissioner Meyer, that's why I put the spreadsheet together. We were yeah, like he mentioned, kind of crunching numbers, and so I wanted to refine that, and then I did send that out to the rest of the commission. That was more or less the basis of our conversation.
Well, and getting it last night was difficult, especially since I could not open the spreadsheet. So,
Well, this information is published, is it not? And so most of the information is published in table 7.4 of the master plan.
Yeah, I mean, this was all information that I took out of the master plan and put together.
so,
When you created it, it was something that was, you derived from the master plan,
I
right?
put it together, yeah.
Just a quick question. I remember Mike describing the, park that went down the town center. He said it would have a connection to the, natural area to the south or southeast. And, I was really hoping for that, so, I'll just, in my 2 cents, that'd be really nice. I'd ride a bike down there.
What park are you talking about?
This,
The
Square
land,
thing?
Okay.
yeah, rectangular thing, sorry.
yeah, it's a path.
Yeah, okay, a path.
I believe there's a path, I believe Elsner is going to be open, kind of just into the woods for right now.
Oh, okay, great, okay,
Or is open for that in the future.
yeah. We move on into set of site formulas, because that was one of the questions that we really were trying to deal with. Because I do remember in, what is it? The subdivision we didn't like. I didn't like, I'll put it that way. I didn't like. And he said, and I even got more houses in than the density required.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh. Like, you should have put a park in. But anyway, yeah, so I like this idea to ask for in a certain number of acres in site to have some sort of park in there. That's in your set clear measurable minimums. But go ahead.
Yeah, we had that discussion during that hearing.
Right.
That is something I think should be a criteria as we move forward.
Okay. And like I said, when I reached out to DLCD, I expressed that goal 10 housing would be impacted by that.
Uh-huh.
And based upon what she told me, our original rep, it didn't seem like it would be much of an issue. Yeah, so percent of site formulas, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
I don't know, I feel as if 10-15% is a little bit steep.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's interesting because I was looking at both Tigard and Beaverton code. And I think it's Beaverton included in that, so the difference is public park or private space, recreation or not. And Beaverton, as far as I can remember, in terms of open space, one of the cities, included both front and backyards in terms of that percentage, which allows someone to maybe get make a larger front or backyard instead of putting in a park. And then I think it's Tigard doesn't do that and just says percentage for public use. So that's a decision that we will have to, a definition to think about.
Right, I like their definition of active recreation,
Yeah.
active public recreation.
Yeah.
Because
Public is the important part of that.
Beaverton is including private property, and
Yeah.
that doesn't make sense.
I mean, it could have a bigger backyard. But anyway,
So what I
to her bigger garden.
I think for right now,
But that's something to think about.
what I can work on is creating a red line for a code amendment.
Uh-huh.
Sending it to DLCD first, and then bringing it to the planning commission in a workshop.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because nothing can be I don't want to try to pass code right now without a city manager.
Got it.
But if we have it ready, waiting in the wings, new city manager gets brought on board, I can say, hey, this is something I've been working on, this is something planning commission has been working on. What do you think?
We're
Do you want
ready
to start getting
to
this
move
through?
forward.
Yes.
Okay, good.
And, yeah, I mean, I don't think we need to overthink it too much.
Now, my memory when we did the master, I mean, I wasn't on council when the master plan got, approved, is that there was going to be a certain percentage of undeveloped park that would be just open space and would not have any amenities, my memory.
You were around and I wasn't.
And I think of specifically the Bankston property when we had that discussion. Am I?
Well, there was just an argument, or debate over the Bankston property to keep it protected.
Yeah,
And
that's,
and away from any sort of development, and that's been the big bugaboo with the community, has been putting a road across that. So I think that was the only area that was talked about as far as being completely off limits, right? And,
That's the only area in the comp plan that's designated
the only discussion that I,
open space, which is.
the only discussion I heard was that they might have to provide a couple of parking places for people that wanted to walk through the open space. That was the only discussion.
Well, and there's a trail that goes through it.
Yeah, so,
for the Bankston property,
Yeah.
or eminent domain, because trails are not allowed.
Yeah.
Conservation easement.
so, anyway. But the Bankston property is the one that is, that will have to have a lot of massaging
Right. Yeah.
when that situation occurs.
So does that sound like a good plan?
Yeah.
for parks?
Mm-hmm. And I think it would be nice if you, can do more research on the fee and lieu
Yeah.
situation, because I think if we talk to, obviously not the city of Portland, but other smaller cities and what they've done, and we don't have to just stick in the Portland metro, or we could look at some of the cities around Salem or Eugene, because I'm sure that they have had to address some of these issues.
Someone brought up Estacada to me, and so that's models I should look into.
Some of the, host cities also.
Drive it.
Yeah, because we don't want a city of 100,000, you know, or even 50,000. That's not a good fix. Except Tigard is pretty good. But there are a lot of cities that are 10, 15,000, and that's kind of what we're going to be ending up when build-out happens, so.
We also have to, we might go across Roy Rogers at some point or go south toward Sherwood, and we have to remember that. We might expand, and these will still be on the books.
Okay, all right, I'm getting this,
Our next.
And just so you know, these times are estimates.
yeah.
If you guys need to.
I think, my sense is we've kind of gone through this section.
Pocket parks was the subject for today, is that right? Just pocket parks, or?
A little bit of both, but mostly pocket parks and a code amendment to require pocket parks.
It seems to me that, the city needs to move toward a parks plan, right? More, expanded, you talked about what's the term for it?
Parks master plan.
Parks master, right, and that seems like there's a need there.
Yeah, I think that it would be very helpful.
So what's required to move forward with that? The council, city manager direction?
Yeah, that would be, because it's I'm not equipped, right, to Parks master plan. That's a specialized consultant job that would, probably cost a couple $100,000.
I hope not. I think that you could. Yeah,
I cannot,
you could not. An advisory.
because what you need is you also need to do like geological analyses.
Okay.
What types of amenities can go where, you have to go and look at where the sewer systems are gonna go if you're installing bathrooms, and it's
Okay.
It's really important.
Never mind.
very technical.
Really important that we start as
we
the
also,
annexations start happening.
this is something Ronnie and I talked about last year when we were doing our public outreach for the West Side Trail, was that, you know, it's really good to get a parks master plan for all your definitions.
Yeah.
Well, it's going
What
to
is a
have to,
pocket park, what is
I guess the thing that would be appropriate for the planning commission would be to make a recommendation to the council that it's time to do a parks master plan.
And then the council would likely need to pass a resolution in support of staff seeking funding to get grants for the parks master.
Able to do something today on that, as far as making a recommendation?
I would wait until maybe I have the resolution written out,
Yeah, I think it would be helpful if you could prepare appropriate language.
because I'll write a resolution, work on a staff report, bring it to the planning commission, and then you'll make a recommendation to the council. So we could do that at the meeting.
Question. So we received a grant to do the planning for the, West Side Trail corridor. Do you have any ballpark idea of what it actually ended up costing us for that?
For the planning for the West Side Trail. 100,000.
That was grant money though, wasn't it? Wasn't it?
That was from Metro Trails grant.
But just to getting an idea of what planning like that might.
Those numbers are not etched in stone because we're.
Right.
And,
But that also involves, wetland delineation.
yeah,
So we had wetland scientists going out there, we had to do archaeological surveys.
and
We had all the public outreach
have
stuff.
the match, whatever grant it is a percentage match.
We just have. The cultural survey.
Requirement of BPA though, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so you wouldn't have that necessarily in.
not necessarily. And, but, yeah, I mean, you would need to, it would be really helpful in the sense that if we just do a blanket requirement on developments, you have to dedicate your land, they can put the park wherever they want. But if we have a master plan that even shows where the pocket parks are gonna be in a very systematic and intentional way, then, you know, because a pocket park's gonna serve quarter acre for 1,000 people or, you know, what have you. And so it's be done in a way that, like I
So if-
otherwise it won't make.
if you could prepare an appropriate, outline of what you think needs to be done, we could have that at our next business meeting. And that's in September. In September, if my memory, we have a hearing on a, plan for the development down,
Yes.
and that is that the second or the fourth Wednesday?
Fourth Wednesday.
Fourth Wednesday, and that'll be our regular meeting time at 6. Fourth Wednesday.
That's for development plan review.
6 o'clock, our normal time. I think everybody on commission should kind of have a placeholder for second and fourth Wednesday, because some months we will have two meetings. So if you just put a placeholder on your calendar.
I'm hoping we can start slowing down a little bit. After the Charlene Woods, is over, then, I mean, I haven't had a pre-application with any new developers, and we're still waiting on the wetland inventory, for these parks and stuff.
Have you gotten any indication when DCLG is gonna get their act together?
Department of State Lands. Hopefully soon. They have one guy who works 1 day a week working on the review for the local wetland inventory. And they have 2 people in the whole department that do that job. Brown is way overworked as it is. So I don't know what's going on over at the state with their staffing, but I'm hoping that it'll happen soon.
Because this has been sitting there.
And that'll have to come to the city council, or to the
Yeah.
planning commission, because that'll be adopted through ordinance.
Oh, three public hearings.
2 public hearings, 3 meetings, you know. Anyway, so does anyone else have anything else to say about parks? I feel like we've got a
Let's, move
good action
on.
plan.
Okay, what else did you want to chat about here?
I wanted to bring up your concerns for diversity of housing,
Mm-hmm.
and based upon my conversation with our new interim city attorney, who, as I mentioned in my email, was a board member at LUBA, is very knowledgeable about land use, she said the LCD is not going to. What? The DLCD would not approve that.
Diversity.
That it's like requiring developers to put different types of houses next to each other.
Stories.
Outside of the realm of what a city can require in the state of Oregon. Because it puts a burden on developers, which the state is
That's
trying to unburden.
discrimination against people with disabilities.
People with, I mean, okay, I don't
No,
I
no.
necessarily agree with that, but
So I think we're talking, so what he's talking about is diversity in housing of being in one block, instead of them all being the same housing, because that makes money. What you're talking about is more ADA compliant, correct? So ADA compliant is definitely not, when you say ADA compliant, when you're talking about diversity in that aspect, are you talking overall?
Because you can have an ADA compliant two-story house.
Yeah, you can,
And generally, aren't they retrofitted after purchase for ADA?
usually for
I
ADA.
don't think there's any requirement.
For the developers, as far as I know, there is not. Unless it's an apartment, they're building a multi-department apartment unit.
and that's more of a building.
And that's like if it's 3 or 4 floors high.
And you have to have an elevator.
The
You
reason-
have to have an elevator.
Yeah, the reason I'm raising this is that people with wheelchairs, et cetera, cannot go up the stairs. And they need to have a bedroom on,
First floor, on the living floor.
and as our population is aging, more and more people are having difficulty with stairs.
So I think the best one with that one is, I think maybe we got lost in the weeds on that one with the diversity of, so what we'll ask our city attorney is, how can we fix ADA issues with developers?
Again, I don't think that we really can. It's more, these developers are building houses that the market demands. So they do market, like housing needs analysis, and they say, okay, what is the market looking for right now? And if there's a large chunk of the market that needs ADA houses or one-story houses, then the developers will build those houses.
Which is surprising because, in the research that I did, like 80%, we're like 80% of the population right now over 55. I mean, it's huge, because we were born after World War II when all the babies were born. And so it does surprise me that they haven't really addressed that. And I know when I was talking about diversity of I know we can't require developers to build a certain thing, but I do know that we can talk to them more about our vision, and that usually happens after the pre-app, before the application, of what, give them ideas. I saw some single-family homes that had a addition on them that's 1 or 2 stories. That could it's a flexible space. It could be an ADU, it could be a dance studio, it could be an art studio, a boutique, cottage, store, things like that. And I don't know that a lot of developers have those ideas. I know when I worked for Mesita, Wilsonville came and said, can you start putting some green roofs on? And as a designer in the private sector, you're usually just told to do the minimum. And it's really kind of up to the city. We can make suggestions. I guess that's what I'm saying. We can't require anything. I know that. You know, I mean, I hate saying yes to some things, but we can still suggest and find ways in our language to encourage
One of the
things.
thoughts I had was to build flats and have 2 separate living units on top of each other.
Right, yeah.
Additional duplex.
But have them be vertical as opposed to side by side.
And I know that there are people, well, like me, for example, that I was looking for a place that I might buy and have my daughters not live with me. Thank God they aren't yet, again. There are a lot of families in that situation. Or, you know, a place that I might downsize into, live on the first floor and rent out the top so that I could, you know, have some income. So, and I don't see that happening, and there's a market for it.
Suma Village, over on 131st and Fisher,
Yeah?
those townhomes have, they call mother-in-law suites.
Oh, do they? Okay.
And so does Ponderosa Pines over on, Bradley Lane, Caesar Terrace,
Oh, yeah?
Jim Gates' development. He has little ADUs on the first floor as well. So it is something that developers are doing.
Uh-huh.
We just haven't encountered it yet in the Kingston
Well,
Terrace.
I'm thinking that would meet, they could get 2 units essentially on,
Density.
that would be a higher density to have, you know, one on top of the
There's
other.
some building code related to having basically 2 entire apartments on top of each other, like, times makes developers shy away from that. And if its second unit is not fit enough to be its own living space, but completely by itself, then I don't know if that would count for it.
You mean fit?
Like having full power, allocated, because sometimes you'll have lesser wattage that is going into the unit, and so they don't have like electric stoves. They'll have
There's no reason for that. I mean, I've lived in a full-size apartment on the second story of many places.
I just know that that's what
It's like separately metered, right?
Yeah,
separately metered.
separately
Yeah.
metered.
Yeah.
And
I'm sorry.
I just think that's very doable, and they can actually get more density in by doing
So
that.
the master plan actually talks about diversity of housing types, right? Although it sure seems like the diversity is in a pretty narrow range, you know, with cottage clusters and, you know, square footage. You know, you look at the newer developments like in River Terrace River Terrace, and what's being planned for, you know, Town Center and for, Sherman Woods. Seems like it's kind of cookie cutter for the most part. One of the things that was talked about during the master plan process was allowing manufactured homes. And there was some discussion about that, you know, for, you know, income diversity as well. I don't see, I mean, do you see the ability to introduce manufactured homes into the process, because they're somewhat land, they consume quite a bit of land, I think, compared to, what's being planned or being built now in the town center? Do you see, any room for manufactured housing in Kingston Terrace?
It's allowed.
Oh, right.
Commissioner Meyer, there was a mobile home park, not the one that goes on to, it's there now. There was a mobile home park on 131st down below the school. And a developer came in and said it was inefficient use of the land.
Right.
And so they pulled them all out and put a standard subdivision.
Okay.
They're kind of, they're not efficient use of the land.
But it's allowed in our plan,
Yeah.
and it does provide low-income options. So, again, I'm just wondering, is that a reality to allow mobile homes with the density requirements that King City is facing?
There's a big difference between a mobile home and a manufactured home. Yeah.
Say manufactured.
Yeah, because manufactured homes, can be really quite nice. I mean,
Well, they can be.
Yeah.
You know,
It's
they're interchangeable terms, I think.
no, they aren't. Um, well, you know, if it's a mobile home, it actually still has an axle.
Okay.
And a manufactured home is just where the parts of the home are manufactured off-site and brought in and put together. And you can have a custom manufactured home that would be worth millions. Probably not a mobile home, because that would be hard to put on an axle.
Manufactured homes.
Yeah.
So what the city would need to do is, and I was looking at, a DLCD sent out a notice which would work for potentially both of these things, which is technical assistance grant, which DLCD offers cities assistance to revise their code, and, you know, ensure that it's all compliant with state law. So we could use that for trying to get money for a parks master plan. Their top priority this cycle is economic development. So, you know, how is that defined currently by DLCD? But does that mean, changing your code to encourage manufactured homes? Does that mean commercial? I'm not exactly sure. So I was going to set up a meeting with the grant manager, sometime this week or next week. That application is due, I believe, October 10th. And again, the full application requires resolutions from,
yeah, I was gonna say,
so it would be pretty tight.
could we, get something in front of city council that fast to approve?
If we were
Yeah, grant
to
application.
meet second Wednesday of September, potentially, could potentially be on the agenda for the third Wednesday of September. Ronnie doesn't like adding things to the agenda that late, but
Yeah. Would that be feasible, Ronnie? We met the second Wednesday,
again, I have to also ask DLCD if these are even gonna be competitive.
September. That's our regular meeting time. Because I think we could recommend
Number 10th.
that the second Wednesday. Yeah, I guess it is.
That would be, I prefer not to, because that is agenda day, so.
Well, can you put it on the agenda?
I mean, Max, so with the,
Yeah, I can put it on the
mobile
agenda
homes,
for
my understanding is
17th.
that the mobile
Yeah.
home or the
With the
manufactured
mayor's
home, they are affordable, but then if the
Yeah.
rent of the space becomes not
Because-
affordable.
Yeah. They're paying more than we are.
A grant application is not a controversial thing for a council.
And unfortunately, you can't guarantee that the landlord is going to be completely fair.
They're cash cows.
Their availability, I will not be here.
But you would be supportive of, council approving doing a grant to DCLD?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So what I can do is I will talk to DLCD, about both of these ideas, see which one they suggest would be more competitive in the grants, and then go in that direction,
Okay.
and prepare a resolution for the second Wednesday of September.
Okay.
It'll be either be for the Parks Master Plan, or, again, I think it's more of a code amendment, grant this time around, so it would probably be closer to having some sort of vision in the code that would encourage manufactured or affordable housing that you would like to see.
Can we add the potential of layered housing?
Duplexes.
I don't think that quite, I mean,
Duplexes.
duplexes are already allowed.
Okay, well then, okay,
Like you said, it sounds like developers already have that in mind, right? And they're implementing some of that, but probably not to the scale that you would like to see, probably.
well, it would be nice, as I said, because our population in general is aging.
Absolutely.
And,
So I think the market kind of figures that out, right, as developers?
Well, I think it could be suggested that they could put a duplex in, but have it be a,
And I think Commissioner Bellows is correct, that the appropriate place to suggest this, I will, during the pre-application meetings with developers, when they don't have their architectural plans completely, actually just bring like a layout of what their look like.
that potentially could create more density. Another house to sell.
Right, no, I mean, it's a good thing, and it's also incentive for people to buy, and, then you can rent out extra space
Yeah.
in here.
And there'd be a place for folks with disabilities that just can't go upstairs.
That was amazing.
That's a good point. On these units that they're doing that with the mother-in-law quarters below, is that considered 2 units then?
I believe if it has a separate meter.
A separate meter, right? So I think that, can the city actually require that second meter? Or are they doing that in these cases? Are they putting the 16 amp and the 200 amp services in?
The village does have a separate meter.
I believe that is in the building code, and I'm not too familiar.
The building code has certain requirements that are more expensive, firewalls and things like that, if you have a second meter and you have 2 solid units that are completely separate from each other. Like I said, it's more expensive, so sometimes developers
Side by side, because I know you need fire rock and separation and whatnot.
Yeah.
But you could
But
do
if you go
vertically.
vertical and laterally, I'm wondering what those, anyway, it doesn't
I
matter.
think it's sprinklers or something.
Yeah, I think, well, that's what we did with the development on 137th, is every unit has to have sprinklers.
But that'll be helpful in terms of density.
Yeah. As I say, in theory, they could make more money as a developer.
Not buying the land.
Yeah.
When I did the math on our minimum density requirements, it's 3,800, so we're only 39% there. But we're over 50% done with our development.
Isn't the total number 3,200 minimum, to 3,600?
So when I went to the code, and the code has density provisions, and each neighborhood has a minimum density, and adding all the minimum density requirements for each neighborhood added to 3,800.
So that's net developable land, correct?
Yeah,
So that takes away streets and sidewalks and parks and
it's just for the neighborhood in general. So,
total area.
so East Bend neighborhood has to have 1,260 homes.
Interesting, that's a 3,800 number when they were saying 32 to 30. So
That's what I thought, and then when I did this math, it's more than what I thought. It's more, yeah, more than what the master plan described.
there's also a review at a point too, to see if you're meeting, because you can deviate from those numbers with approval, right?
Yeah.
Because you do a periodic review to see kind of how you're tracking,
Mm-hmm.
and, that isn't an in stone number, but a pretty
close.
number.
And if the state, if the wind starts blowing the other direction and the state cancels or it doesn't have this emergency housing crisis anymore, they might lax on their, probably not,
At the
but
moment,
they might lax on their
It's
requirements.
getting harder and harder.
Right.
at the moment.
Well, like River Terrace 2.0 is going to be 22 units per acre across the entire thing, so which is more than Town Center, so.
Not allowed to own a car. Yeah.
And no required off-street parking.
Okay,
Okay.
is there anything else that
Do you feel you have enough direction to come back to us?
I think I have some tasks in front of me, yes.
Okay. So we will plan to meet on the second Wednesday, which Ronnie says the 10th?
Can I be excused?
Yes, yeah, no. But just kind of for future, kind of put a,
My best.
And it could be simply that I could present 2 resolutions to you on that Wednesday, And one can be authorizing staff to seek funding for
Right.
master plan, parks master plan, authorizing staff to seek funding for technical assistance to amend the code to
Perfect,
encourage affordable housing.
perfect.
And then then I can apply for whatever grant.
And then make sure you know what our match is gonna be.
The other thing is that without the city manager, I am not completely privy on the city finances
Yeah.
as much as.
Okay,
That's at 6 PM, correct?
yes,
Okay, September 10th, 6 p.m.?
yeah.
Is that the only meeting we have?
No,
One on the
there's a
28th.
meeting on the
28th.
That-
Or
that's
the fourth
the hearing.
Wednesday, whatever day that is.
That is
Fourth?
the land use hearing.
The 24th, yeah.
I think this meeting on the 10th could be pretty short.
It'll be just the resolutions.
There's in the 14th, I can make it.
And
Second Wednesday.
p.m.?
Yes,
Okay.
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 All right, if there's is there anything else on the agenda, ladies and gentlemen?
There are other ideas and feedback, so.
Yeah, and as I mentioned in passing to Commissioner Mitchell, unfortunately, my fence at the park got stolen.
I can't believe
Where's that fence?
It was,
to keep people from falling down the gully.
Where the creek is?
At the very end, where?
yeah,
Where the creek erosion is, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
I went out there and I had a pile driver and really heavy duty T-posts that I stuck into the ground and then put up like construction fencing. And it took me, a few hours and better part of an afternoon, and then I was there for about 2 months, and Miss Carrie and I walked down there and it was just completely gone,
back up.
blacked out. And those things are heavy.
Yeah,
So,
effort
I
to
don't-
yank them out.
yeah, I don't understand it.
Sure didn't further erode and go into the.
I looked,
Okay.
I checked.
I don't understand why people would do that.
You would have had to sit there for that long, yeah.
we have a grant, don't we, to deal with that?
And the,
Wasn't there a grant that we have to deal with that erosion?
Oh, yeah, the Nature and Neighborhoods grant from Metro.
Yeah.
But I'm getting a little worried because I've been reaching out to the program manager at Metro since June, and I haven't heard anything since we got awarded that grant. So I don't know if she's on vacation. I'm not sure exactly. I mean, we were awarded it. I watched the Metro
We
council
have to
meeting.
know
I need to know what the next steps are, and I want to make sure I'm not missing
Yeah.
any deadlines. But
Yeah.
Metro, if you're listening, the powers that be, where are you? Come on.
yeah.
Yeah, so.
Okay, at that point, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Get a motion to adjourn this meeting.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and my therapist is grateful that I'm not gonna be late.
Mhm.
Alrighty.